Welcome back. All right, so one game in the books out of the 8 that are to be played today. This one between Florida and Columbus. It was kind of a quiet game, and then it got really noisy in the third, so we'll get there. So it's Stolarz versus Greaves in this one. Early press by Florida, and they would score. A minute and 20 seconds in, it's buried on a good cycle. Forsling gets the goal from Barkov and Reinhart. Panthers then look for another, and it looked like this could end up being a no-mercy game early. Panthers press some more at 3.5 minutes. Laine then fires one high as Columbus gets some pressure back. But 5 minutes into the game, the shots are 4-1 for Florida. Fantilli to Kent Johnson, near miss on a 2-on-1 rush. The Panthers press at 6 minutes, but on a zone entry from the high slot, Chinakhov scores from Marchenko and Goodbranson at 7:08. So that ties the game. Doesn't last. Florida basically wins the next faceoff, goes in, sets up, and they score. Verhaeghe from Reinhart and Forsling at 7:27. So it was tied for 19 seconds before Florida gets the lead back. Danforth has a rush chance that's defended. Tkachuk fires one wide on a 3-on-2. Panthers press with 9 minutes left. Columbus gets some pressure with 7 minutes left. Both teams fast. The offense dialed in. Counterattacks, transition. All about transition hockey in this one. Corrali can't bury one in close as Columbus looks to tie it. Huge momentum swings during this period of play. The Panthers would press with 2.5 minutes left. Montour has a chance that's held. And the other thing was that period of hockey was fast. The second period was fast as well. So we have a 2-1 lead for Florida going into the second. Cousins has a rush chance that's held. Werenski with a 3-on-2 opportunity. That's held as well. Jackets press at 2.5 minutes are kept to the outside. Panthers press at 4 minutes. Greaves, back-to-back saves there. He had 3 or 4 saves during that pressure by the Florida Panthers. Sillinger then collides with the linesman, so get out of the way. The crowd boos the linesman there. Good flow again. Few whistles in this period of hockey. Not a lot to talk about when it comes to extended presses, and we'll talk about it. So shots are 4-3. Florida 8.5 minutes in. Columbus with a 2-on-1 chance. That's broken up by Montour. Columbus presses at the half. Fantilli has a rush that's defended. There was a post for Stenlund. The rebound gets cleared. Teams exchange rushes. There's a net feed to Fantilli. That gets blocked out. Okay. I almost went to the line above. I will not. Both teams play the same up-tempo counterattacking style. I thought this was an interesting balance because these two teams are in very, very different places in the standings, but they play a very similar style of hockey. The counterattacking, the defensive play, it's very similar. So both teams were preventing extended pressure situations. The back checking was very good by both teams, and again, in transition, both teams being dangerous. Panthers press in the final minute, but they can't get to the net. So it remains 2-1 after 2, and now we go to where everything happens. Columbus with some line juggling. They only had 12 shots through the first 2 periods, so I totally understand the line juggling. It was the Columbus feed I watched, and they really paint quite the rosy picture. And I'm not saying that Columbus didn't have moments where they were playing well, but I thought Florida had this mostly under control through a majority of the game. Goodbranson takes a big hit and comes up swinging. Now, initially, it looked like Goodbranson was badly hurt. They were motioning for the trainer to come out. Didn't need him. So Cousins hits him face first into the end glass. So it's initially called as 5 minutes for boarding. They reviewed it and decided it was 2. If you're wondering, I have no idea why it was dropped to 2 either. Goodbranson not happy and says he'll get him. You can read his lips while he's on the bench. And he's like, I'll get him. No, I'll get him. Good. Basically, I'm glad he's not kicked out of the game because I'll go get him. Which, I mean, fine. But again, you have to think about the 2 points as well that are on the board here. And for Columbus, you need to win the game. This is where the argument becomes one of, do you want revenge on the player in this situation, or do you want to get revenge on the team by getting the win? So he chirps Cousins from the box. Columbus does come out of that with a 2-minute power play for the boarding call. Goodbranson got 2 for roughing, and then there was another 2 minutes in there too to make sure that Columbus gets the power play. So they cycle the Panthers clear. They kill it off. Fantilli has a shot after that's held. Lomberg fires one wide from the slot. The Panthers press 3 minutes in. That's right. It's only 3 minutes into the period so far. Laine has a rush that draws a power play. Chinakhov hits the side of the net. Marchenko's denied, and he looked skyward as Stolarz is holding on. Power play's killed off. 2 shots on that power play for Columbus. So Goodbranson on the next shift, he mugs Cousins. Now this is the trick, right? Where you're like, all right, we'll let the players police themselves. The problem is this. Cousins turtles. From the Claude Lemieux school of turtling, or whoever else you want to put in here. And so what happens is Goodbranson, who's probably been getting angrier and angrier, thinking about the hit where he goes face first into the boards, which looked like it might have broke his nose. Like his nose is bleeding here. That can be a break. But yeah, that's where things go just right off the rails. The benches start talking to each other. You get Lomberg and Mikkola chirping over towards the Columbus bench. You can only imagine the things that get said. They don't turn the mics on for that. But Goodbranson's night is done. So Goodbranson mugs Cousins. Cousins did not fight back. He didn't throw a punch. He just turtled. And to me, it felt like he went out there like, all right, I know this is going to happen. That's how I, like, you'd have to be kind of not an NHLer to think that wasn't going to happen. But the rabbit punch is thrown on a player who's down and not fighting back. I think Goodbranson might be looking at a suspension coming out of this. And I'm only saying might. And I know if you're a Columbus fan, you're going to be mad at me for even suggesting it. And if you're going to say, well, what about Cousins? They dropped it to 2 minutes. I don't know that anything's going to happen to Cousins. If anything happens to Cousins, we can then circle back and say, hey, so turns out Cousins is going to face some kind of supplemental discipline that should have been 5 in a game. But I don't know if they're going to. So the fact that he punches Cousins while he's down on the ice gives him 2, 5, and 10, although there were a lot of penalties in there. So I'm just saying 2, 5, and 10 to keep it simple. 2 for instigating, which is weird since for instigating doesn't it have to be both players fight? I don't know that I've ever seen, if that was an instigator, and that's what the announcer said, if it's an instigator, I don't know that I've ever seen that for where the other player doesn't fight back. 5 for fighting, again, the other guy doesn't fight back, and then the game misconduct. But there was, I believe, another misconduct in there as well. So we ended with a post for Bennett. Keep in mind that this means it's a 7-minute power play for Florida. One of those rare 7-minute power plays. I think the longest power play we've seen is 9 minutes. I think in a game a couple years back we saw a 9-minute power play. So Montour has a shot that's held. OEL fires one high. Columbus clears it out. They clear it out again. First 2 minutes are done, so we're into the 5-minute major. Bennett fires one wide. We're starting to hear ref, you suck chants, which, again, that's predictable. I was surprised it took that long into the power play to hear it. And then at 13 minutes and 12 seconds on that power play, and 6 minutes and 23 seconds into that power play, Barkov scores from Bennett and Reinhart to make it 3-1. So just 37 seconds left in that penalty kill, and Barkov buried a loose puck at the side of the net. So they almost killed that off. They do kill the rest of it, but now they're down by 2, and we've got less than half a period left. Things get pushy on a hold by Stolarz. The goalie pull-up is with 4:36 left. Verhaeghe misses the empty net. And yeah, he was a little casual in his attempt to hit it, and so Columbus gets the goal to make it 3-2. Voronkov, on a good cycle, he buries it in close. Laine and Werenski with the assists at 16-11. They would pull the goaltender again, looking to tie it. Instead, Tkachuk hits the empty net from the other end of the ice. Mikkola with the assist at 18:05. Things then get pushy on a hold by Stolarz, and then the empty netter again. It's Luostarinen this time from Barkov and Reinhart at 18:59. So your final score in this one's 5-2 for the Florida Panthers, and this was quite the game. Florida 17-8-2 with the win. Columbus 9-16-5 with the loss. Columbus is off until Thursday now. And again, we'll see if anything comes out with Goodbranson. I just don't see how him punching a guy in the back of the neck and head who's down on the ice and not defending himself. And I get it. If your opinion is Cousins should have fought, I'm not going to argue with that, to be honest. This is usually a situation where a player would throw down. Last night we saw that with Matthew Joseph. He was willing to drop the gloves last night against the Detroit Red Wings. So the shots in this one, 12-7 Florida in the first, 9-5 Florida in the second, 16-7 Florida in the third. I believe they had 11 shots during that 7-minute power play. Final shots 37-19 for Florida. Power plays Florida 1 for 2. Columbus 0 for 2. The hits 21-9 for Columbus. Stolarz saved 18 out of 20. Greaves saved 32 out of 35. And was one of those positives today for a Columbus team that needs to focus on some positives. But let me know your thoughts in the comments section below as always. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe if you've not done so already. Thank you guys so much for watching, for all your support. I will talk to you again soon.